Ypsilanti is full of rich history, and so much of it is contained right here in this building. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, here we are inside of the Ypsilanti Historical Museum. We're here with McKinley in this gorgeous house. And so tell us a little bit more about what this house was before it was the Ypsilanti Historic Society.
Well, the home was built in 1860. It was built by the Dow family, Asa and Minerva Dow. They came here originally from Chicago, Illinois. They settled here about 2 years after 1860. This home was fully furnished, but they moved here for the Ypsilanti Savings Bank. It was the first bank here in Ypsilanti, and he was the first president of the first bank. So the founder of that bank was the Quirk family, and they actually lived right next door to this establishment.
So right on the corner this way?
Yeah.
Very cool,
So,
okay. I read on outside that this home later then became for workers for World War II, the Willow Run Bomber Plant. So there was a story of multiple people who lived in here while they worked there, and then after there were EMU students.
Yep, so 1860 to 1865, the Dow family lived here, and then it passed through a couple hands. So we had the Goodrich family, the Lambert Barnes.
Okay.
The Lambert Barnes lived here the longest out of all of the families for about 45 years. They ended their stay in 1922, which is when Laverne Ross purchased this place at the behest of her father, actually. She was 27 years old and was considered kind of a spinster, and her father wanted her to have her own income and no longer live off of his income. So
interesting.
This was hers, and she added on a lot of additions. We are currently standing in the original house, so this forward, but everything behind us.
Gotcha, so this was like the original back wall right here behind us for the house.
It goes a little bit further in the dining room. You can see the brick wall structure, but yeah, we're almost at the end here. This side building right here, this is now a kitchen. In the 1920s, it was made into a kitchen, but it was just a side porch.
Gotcha, okay. And it was all 3 floors when it was originally built?
Yes, yeah, all 3. And then I guess if you wanted to count the attic, which is you can fully stand in, but Starkweather, Mary Starkweather, you can see her name at the bottom here. Originally, this window was at 130 North Huron Street, which is now the Ladies' Library. It was her former residence. She actually went on a world tour before getting on to the building at 130. Went to France, then it was put up by Starkweather, and then in the 70s during urban renewal, the library was put on the demolition list. Thankfully, it was never demolished. We still have it to this day, but just for, they were concerned about vandalism, so they brought it here in the 70s, and we restored it, and in 2007 we put it up here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It sure is. It really. And what year was this from, roughly?
I want to say it was made roughly between 1890 and 1893 because its first exhibition was in 93.
Gotcha.
And then in the 1970s it was brought here. So for a good chunk of time it was over at the library.
And who is the portrait of? Who is that?
This, it's nobody specific. A lot of people think it's kind of like spiritual or maybe
Mary
Christianity, Mary, somebody. But it is a women writer. As you can see, she has a book and her pen in her hand. But yeah, it was just kind of to showcase women's rights, and then education.
Beautiful. It's gorgeous.
It sure is. It really is amazing. And so this is a really cool piece. Is there any other artifact or story that comes close to this one for you?
Well, this kind of showcases richness, but we also, right across from it, have a story of rich history. So right here, this is our rotating display. So the library is used as a rotating display room. This display is currently Heart of a Community. It involves history on the African American Methodist Episcopal Church, shortened AME. It's been here for, I want to say 14, maybe 15 months. I'm actually working on an exhibit to change this one out.
Place it, yeah.
But currently it's the AME. So Brown Chapel was put here, I want to say it was founded in 1843 by a man named Silas. I want to say his last name is Jones, but I know for sure his first name is Silas. He was enslaved, and he came here, and he actually formed the Underground Railroad at Brown Chapel. So there was a whole system of conductors and houses that worked through the AME to get enslaved to Canada.
So the AME kind of helped facilitate the actual homeowners doing that and pulling that off.
Not necessarily facilitate, but it was part of the chain.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I know Connor talked about Elijah McCoy. It was actually George and Mildred McCoy who worked through Brown Chapel. So they helped under them.
Gotcha.
So the whole McCoy family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full circle there. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, we know there's a lot of other stuff in here. Just point out some real quick, what are some of the other things somebody would see or come in contact with if they come visit here?
Sure. So in the kitchen, there is a pie safe, which I find to be very interesting.
Everybody needs a pie safe.
Keep that safe. Yeah.
It's quite large. You wouldn't expect it to be large, but it has mesh netting on the front. And it was used to keep out birds. And then I find it interesting that there's locks on top. And I was told that it was to keep out naughty children.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
So
cool.
that's one of my...
Or hungry husbands.
Yeah, one of the pieces I first saw that caught my attention. I started here roughly about 7 months ago. So that was my first piece that really caught my attention.
Very cool. Anything else you want to tell the people about?
We have a servant's bell also in the kitchen. I'm actually currently doing research on it. Don't tell my professor. It's actually for a project for her. It's not completed yet. But I cannot find, so every object has an acquisition number. This object does not have an acquisitions number. I've looked through all of our inventory from 1970 to current day 2024. It's not in any of the inventory books. So I have to assume that potentially it was original to this home. As you can see throughout the home, there's little holes in the floor, right there, for example. That could be more modern use just with wiring, but it also could have been used for the wiring for the servant's bell. So I'm doing research on that.
Gotcha. Okay. That's really interesting. Yeah, that's really cool information.
So you want to talk about your hours of operation and when people can come and see all this beautiful museum, actually. And
yeah, see all this history.
yeah.
So we are open. I'm here Tuesday through Friday, 2 to 5. That's when our doors are open and people are free to come in. But we also have docents who volunteer their time for Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
We are currently low on volunteers, but we do have somebody coming in on Monday for training to become a docent here. So incoming every once in a while, but they help out a lot. We couldn't run without them.
Yeah. Awesome. And just so you know, right down the stairs is Connor too. So they're like a little tag team. You can go to the archives and you can come up here to the museum.
Yep. So stay tuned. Make sure you watch part 2 because we go in the basement and we interview Connor, and there's some amazing stuff down in the archives in the basement. Yeah. So cool. Is there any last minute stories or anything else you want to mention?
I'm good, thank you.
That's awesome. Well, we would love if you guys come in, take in the history of Ypsilanti. And as always, if you're looking to move closer to here, give us a call. We'd love to help you. Yeah. We'll see you in part 2 down in the basement.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.